The moon's presence in the night sky has transfixed people for millennia. But why is the moon sometimes visible during daylight? We sometimes see the moon during the day for the same reason we see it at night. It is reflecting light from the sun, and its closeness to earth makes it brighter than the daytime or nighttime sky. After the sun, the moon is far the brightest celestial object we see it. But the moon isn't always visible during the day. This is due to Earth's atmosphere and the orbital cycle of our natural satellite. If our planet didn't have an atmosphere, the moon would be visible from Earth all the time. Meanwhile, the phase of the moon mean that when it moves between Earth and the sun, such as during the new moon, the illuminate side face away from us and the dark side of the moon face Earth, making it basically invisible to sky watchers on Earth. The gas particle in our atmosphere, mainly nitrogen and oxygen, scatter light that has short wavelength, such as blue and violet light. This scattering, which involves absorbing and re-emitting light in a different direction, gives Earth a blue sky. In order to be visible during the daytime, the moon has to overcome the scattered light from the sun. For 2 or 3 days around the new moon, it is invisible to observer on Earth, as its position in the sky means that the sun's scattered light outshine the moon. But it is usually the case the moon relatively closeness to Earth. On an average, 384,400 km means that the light is appear brighter to us than object emitting or reflecting light which are farther away, such as stars or other planets. The stars that are visible from Earth are a million and billion times lesser bright than the light from the sun, and million of times fainter than that of the moon. The scattered light from the sun is so bright in our sky that is often overwhelmed the starlight during the day, but not always the moon's reflected light. Astronomers use surface brightness as a way of quantifying the apparent brightness of objects in the sky, such as galaxies and nebula, by measuring the amount of light they emit across an area of the night sky as observed from Earth. Since the moon is closer to Earth, the stars are its surface brightness is greater than the surface brightness of the sky. We can easily see it shining during the daylight. However, the moon visibility during the daylight is also influenced by other factors including the season, the current phase of the moon, and how clear the sky is on a given day. The moon is visible daylight for an average of 25 days out of the month throughout the year. The other 5 days occur around the new moon phase and the full moon. Near the new moon phase, it is too closer to the sun to be seen. When it is near the full moon, it is only visible at night because the moon rises at sunset and sets at sunrise. The only day that it isn't in the sky with the sun for some time is the full moon. That day the sun sets and the moon rises, and the other way around, so that the only day where it's not up there at the same time. The moon is above the horizon for 12 hours a day, but its appearance may not always coincide with daylight hours. In winters, when days are shorter at mid-latitude, for example, there is a less time for the moon to be visible during the day. The best time to see the moon in daylight is during the first quarter, 1 week after the new moon, and third quarter, 1 week after the full moon. In the first quarter, during the afternoon, our natural satellite can be seen rising in the eastern sky. In the third quarter, it will be visible in the morning, setting in the western sky. These phases are the longest period that the moon is visible with the sun in the sky for an average of 5 or 6 hours a day. Another phenomenon that affects when the moon is visible is earth shine. During the crescent phase, when it's close to the angle to the sun, you can actually see the dark part of the moon, which you shouldn't see because of illuminated light. The dark part of the moon is getting reflected light from the earth. The best time to observe the phenomena is during the crescent phase, 3 or 4 days after the new moon. During a lunar eclipse, the phase of the moon will turn a shade of red. The fiery glow is most dramatic during a total lunar eclipse, but even during the partial and phenomenal lunar eclipse. In addition, the perfection is a must. A total of lunar eclipse happens only when the earth and the moon are perfectly lined up. When the moon tiptoe into the outer portion of the earth's shadow, becoming the total bath in the darkest part of the shadow, Why isn't the result a light out for the sky? Why instead does the moon become engulfed in a light orange to blood red glow? Picture yourself standing on the moon, looking down on Earth during the spectacular night sky event when the Earth is directly in front of the sun, blocking the sun rays from the lightning of the moon. You see a fairy rim encircling the planet. The darkened terrestrial disk is ringed by every sunrise and every sunset in the world all at once. According to the NASA, even though our planet is way bigger than the sun, our home star light bends around the edge of the earth. The light gets reflected onto the moon, but not before it travels through our atmosphere, which filter out the shorter wavelength blue light, leaving the red and oranges unscratched to pass the moon's surface and viola a red moon. But not before it travels through our atmosphere, which filter out the shorter wavelength blue light, leaving the red and oranges unscratched to bath the moon's surface and a red moon. The moon will change various shades during the different stage of total lunar eclipse, morphing from an initial grayish to orange and amber. Atmospheric condition can also affect the brightness of the color. For instance, extra particles in the atmosphere such as ash from a large wildfire or a recent volcanic eruption may cause the moon to appear a darker shade of red. The moon doesn't always hide completely behind Earth's shadow. During a partial lunar eclipse, the sun, earth and moon are slightly off to their alignment, and our planet in shadow engulfed just part of the moon. A novice sky watcher might not even notice the third type of lunar eclipse, the penumbral kind, in which the moon sits on the earth or its faint outer shadow. Other areas of the world, including the entire US, will be able to see at least some stage of the lunar eclipse, including its partial and penumbral phases. As for the other type of lunar eclipse, the next three penumbral eclipses will occur on the next total lunar eclipse, expected to be visible from the part of the Asia, Australia, much of the North America, South America and the Atlantic, Indian and Pacific Ocean, Antarctica according to the time and date.